And coming up in this episode, we leave the Atlantic behind and make our way down the mighty Gironde.
That's the estuary, and that's the river.
And one of my dreams comes true as I get close to some of those Medoc chateaux.
You know that phrase, like a kid in a candy shop?
And then we almost get run over by the Rainbow Warrior.
Oh, mate. See ya. Looking straight into the sun. Into the blazing sun. We've been dreaming about this trip for quite a long time before, Les and I. And here we are at last, on the sea on our way to Saint-Malo, and then to join the canals of Brittany, and eventually the Canal de la Garonne and the Canal du Midi, all the way to the Mediterranean Sea. Keeping us on the straight and narrow. We're just leaving the port of Royan. Royan, over there. That's the estuary, and that's the river. So, off we go. Yep, it's a long way away. Just over there is the Chateau Louden, pas Ludiac, Louden, Chateau Louden.
I can't tell you how much of a relief it was to get off the Bay of Biscay and into the port of Royan. At sea, a sailboat without sails can be like a bathtub in white water. But Minuet has a heavy keel and good ballast, which is very reassuring. I think you can hear it in my voice. I knew that the worst was over. Piloting my way down a river was a piece of cake compared to navigating in the Bay of Biscay. And although ever vigilant, I was able to relax and enjoy the scenery.
C'est le vieux port de Saint-Estèphe. You know that phrase, like a kid in a candy shop? Well, that's where I am now. Vineyards for as far as you can see. There's my trusty steed. Before some very young vines. And another chateau off in the distance. Wonderful stuff. All around us. Like I say, like a kid in a candy shop. You can smell it. It's wonderful. Well, that is the Gironde, and looking this way, there is the Garonne. And here is the Dordogne, and that's the oil refinery on a little line between the two. Charming. There you are, there it is. So we were going to go down there on the Garonne, but we've just had quite a nasty morning at Blaye. Terrible pontoon getting shaken all over the place, so we decided to come and have a look at Bourg, Côte de Bourg, which is here somewhere. A rather interesting chateau on the hill up there. Oops, trees. Okay. Still. That's the Gironde up there. Down here is the Dordogne, and over there is the Garonne. I'm just going out into safe water before I turn left into the Garonne. It would have been easy to cut that corner there, but there's not much water there. Luckily there's no big ships about. Autopilot's calling me to change course, so here goes. You're going to swing quite violently to port now, so watch out. Here we go. Here we go. Not too much, baby. Not too much. There we go. That'll do. Straighten out now, honey. That's good. That's good. That's what we want. And there is the Garonne. And there is the Dordogne. It's mad. It's completely mad. Anyway. And there is the Gironde. Still can't believe it. Anyway, we're making our way. You see the channel in front of us. There's the red marker, red to port. There's the green marker, almost on the bank. We're at low water at the moment, so we better get inside the channel. We've got 5 meters here, we should have about 8 or 9, or even more in the channel. Okay. Look at the current against that red buoy there. Amazing. The speed we're going. We're actually doing almost 10 knots over the ground. That's 11 miles an hour. Oh, there's a wreck in the water in front of us. Over there somewhere. Apparently. Over there. There it is. Marked by an isolated danger marker. Keep an eye on that. And we're just coming to the outskirts of Bordeaux. Autopilot's changing for a calling for a change of tack. Up, there he goes. Where are you going? That's good, towards the bridge. That'll be ideal. Towards the bridge.
It's actually not far from the Three Rivers confluence to this bridge, Le Pont d'Aquitaine. And less than a mile further on from this bridge, we find ourselves in the centre of Bordeaux and confronted by a massive new bridge which is not on my chart. It's a new lifting bridge called Pont Jacques Chabin-Delmas.
Well, if it isn't the famous Rainbow Warrior.
I was caught completely by surprise when we got past Le Pont d'Aquitaine. But I managed to find a waiting pontoon just before the port and grab my camera quickly to capture this beauty. Et voilà le pont Jacques Chaban-Delmas, built in 2013, which goes to show how out of date the latest waterways guide you can buy actually is.
Well, we have arrived in Bordeaux. Ponton de la Cité du Vin. Well, we'll see about that tomorrow, see if they let us in. We're here in Bordeaux and we're locked up on the pontoon. Fortunately, the river has turned to an ebb, and look at the current. When we arrived, it was 2 hours before the turn of the tide, and it was all easy going. We arrived easily. But this is quite dramatic. I've just doubled up on the lines. Anyway, we're here just before the big bridge of Bordeaux. I'll zoom out a little bit and you'll see it. We're on the pontoon détente before we go into the Bassin de Bordeaux tomorrow morning. Hey, it's great, but look at the flow. So be careful with your timing when you come in here. And the pontoon is very, very close to the bridge.
Getting into the Bordeaux Basin, I must say, was a bit of a faff. They won't let you through the lock until you've secured and paid for a place in the port. All with lots of French red tape. Though I must say they were very friendly, very helpful. You just have to jump through a few hoops.